Today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about some games that I don't like. I've been talking about my favorite games for a couple of videos, and I'll probably do that again because I like a lot of games. But there are a few games, and I'm talking about bigger games, a few bigger games that I don't like. And I have talked a little bit about these games before, but I thought, why not do it again? It's a new year, it's a new series, so yeah, why not? So yeah, the first game that I'm going to talk about is a game that I have talked a lot about before, and it's a game that were very popular, but I didn't like it. It's Far Cry 3, and I'm gonna go over some of the reasons to why I don't like it. Now, let's start with the big thing, the story. Um, the game's story was, at least to me, kind of boring, very cliche, very straightforward. There really wasn't any unexpected twists and turns anywhere, and most of the characters in the story were kind of once again cliche and stereotypical. The villains were I guess they were okay, but at the same time they seemed like your everyday stereotype sociopath, and the your friends were annoying and stereotypes and just really whining. I heard a lot of reviews where they said that during the story of the game, you were supposed to feel that Jason, the guy you controlled, were kind of getting into the killing and starting to like it. I never once felt like that was a part of the story. I felt like he was trying to save his friends and saw that it was necessary to kill because otherwise they would get killed and he would get killed. I never once felt like he was starting to like killing. The only time I actually felt like that was when they actually talked about it. But I mean, that's stupid. Think about it. If it was a movie where you never felt like the main character was off the grid, was going like mental until someone actually pointed it out. That was kind of yeah. Another thing I didn't like about the game was that here you have a really really big open world, and that sheep is going into that house. Oh god! But yeah, here you have a big open world, but you have an extremely linear storyline. So linear that most of the time they only gave you one way of doing things. They weren't like, oh, you can choose to do this mission stealthily, or you can go on shooting. It's mostly they said, oh, this mission you have to do stealth, and oh, here we want you to snipe some people, but you aren't allowed to start sniping until this moment. And that was just annoying. There were no control. You had absolutely no option in the game. Choices. The only choice in the game was in the very end, and that, without spoiling it, that was extremely black and white choice. Basically, are you a complete bastard or are you a good guy? And I was like, wow, great. I got a choice. It really wasn't. But the game and the side mission, although there was a lot of side missions, but they felt out of place. So here you have an island where all your friends are being have been kidnapped, and they might get killed if you don't rescue them. Why don't you take part in this race? Or hey, why don't you go hunting for this bear? And oh, by the way, you can only kill this bear using a shotgun. We don't care about killing the bear, we just want it to be killed by a shotgun. It seemed pointless. I know there was to submit a challenge, but I felt like that was something you should have had outside the game. Maybe some mini games you could choose to play after you completed the game, but to have it part of the actual game was just felt weird. and and that whole thing about, oh, you have to make these pouches and wallets, but you can't use the same animal because, well, I don't know the reason, but why couldn't I use the same animal to make all the different wallets or the different pouches? I know I complained at the end of my playthrough about of Far Cry 2 that there weren't enough animals, but I would have liked it more if the animals were just, background and you could choose to kill them and get something from them. But really, the whole trying to get every animal to have a unique purpose in the game was kind of dumb. What else? Then we had the thing about where the very cartoony game. The bad guys were red and later yellow. The good guys were blue, and it's like, oh yeah, you're not very good pirates, if you can see them a mile away. Oh, these guys were red. Let's get out of here. They're pirates. That's stupid. I don't mind if you could see that it was the enemies, maybe have them have some scars or make them look like bad guys, but a certain color, you might as well have given them a uniform. Then there was the button mashing, quick time events, and hold functions. Too many of them. Hold E to do this. I mean, hold E to grab a turret. Hold E to search this. Hold E to pick up that. Hold E to get in your car. Hold E to take a dump. It might as well have been. And spoiler alert. The only boss battles in the game where you finally go up against the bosses, it's a quick time event. I mean, how anticlimactic is that? The game was too cartoony, and that was really a big shame because Far Cry 2 was semi-realistic. It had its issues. Far Cry 2 has its problems, like for instance, enemies respawn too quickly, but I don't know, you seem to have more choices. The story wasn't as linear. You could actually choose different missions as part of how you would, which direction, which order you take the main quest missions. That seemed to be more choices during the game. You could actually, I don't know, it felt a lot more, and it was more. Far Cry 2 had you stuck in the middle of African civil war, where you were trying to find the guy who was arming both sides while you had malaria. In Far Cry 3, it was like, oh, you're a rich, spoiled brat who, because you didn't think twice about going into an unknown area, you get caught, and now you have to find all your friends while hunting down animals to get bigger wallet. The game didn't really work for me. I could go on about this for hours, because there were a lot of other things wrong with the game. I have to admit, I did enjoy parts of the game, but even those parts became a little too repetitive because the game was a lot repetitive. There really didn't seem to be that much difference in the game. Whenever you had, and oh yeah, and one last thing, whenever you had an ally, an AI ally, well, you'd have to start over because they weren't allowed to die, and if they died, oh, you fail, and believe me, they died easily. There was a mission where you'd go into a town and you're supposed to drive in, and there was this your buddy was at the turret. I found it easier to just leave him outside the town where he wouldn't get killed and then take on the rest of them on my own. Yeah, I didn't enjoy that. Next game I really didn't enjoy was Call of Duty 2. I've only played two games in the Call of Duty series, Call of Duty 1 and Call of Duty 2. I liked Call of Duty 1. I hated Call of Duty 2. I don't know how much they actually changed between the games. I don't think there was that much change, and I think the AI, which is the really bad thing about it, I don't think the Allied AI really changed from Call of Duty 1 to Call of Duty 2. It was just used poorly in Call of Duty 2. I'll give you a few examples on how that really fucked up the game. Imagine, okay, I'll go over here. I am working on a new building, by the way. It might be ready for tomorrow, might be the day after tomorrow. But yeah, imagine. Let's open this door. Imagine there's an enemy over here. So you sidestep out to shoot him, and you're about to go back in, and you find out that you can't. You look to the side, there's a soldier standing there, and then you get shot. Boom! That happened to me so many times. Other times you have an enemy sitting right here and he shouts, "Grenade!" And then you run away. He just stays. That really didn't bother me that much. I mean, one thing is that the AI died easily. Another thing is when they caused you to die. And that whole thing where they blocked you constantly was one thing. Another thing was there was a mission in Call of Duty 2 where you needed to snipe from a building, and you were in a room filled with Allied soldier. But suddenly you got shot at, and you look to one side and you see the Germans. They are shooting at you. Then you look to the other side and you see an ally just standing there. And that killed me several times because the Allied troops didn't protect me while I was sniping, even though they were there. They were just standing around. That's when you know that the AI really is useless. Another thing in Call of Duty 2 was the fact that I got stuck on things. Like, for instance, if I was standing here, and I would get stuck on corners and I couldn't move. I had to kind of jerk it around and jump to get out of it. Or if there was a small step up, I'd get stuck on that and had to do the same. And I was even in a place where I was trying to get to from point A to point B, and I thought about jumping over something. I got stuck on that thing. I tried to jump over and had to reload an earlier save. That only happened once, but the thing where I got stuck on corners or small ledges or just things lying around on the ground, that happened constantly. So yeah, the reason I don't like Call of Duty 2, poor allied AI that got me killed constantly, and me getting stuck on environment. And I know the AI thing probably I could have avoided dying if I was better at it, but in Call of Duty 1, that wasn't an issue. I didn't die as much as I did in Call of Duty 2. At least not due to the AI. Hey. So yeah, Call of Duty 2, in my opinion, sucked. I am going to give the other Call of Duty games a chance at some point. I don't know when. Of course, I'll probably do it in chronological order, which means that Call of Duty 3. I don't know, what is Call of Duty 3? I don't think there's a game called Call of Duty 3, is there? That's I think the third game is the World at War, I think, which I've heard very good things about. So I'm looking forward to actually playing that when I get to that. I've planned a lot of games, mostly just for myself. I also plan to play for myself, but I also plan a lot of games for this channel, though not Call of Duty. The last game I'm gonna talk about today. I have more, but I thought I'd spread this out. But last game I'm gonna talk about today, which I didn't really like, was is what's that game called? Damn it, I had it right. It's on my tip of my tongue. I just looked at the tip of my tongue. There was nothing there. Wait a minute. I'll take a sip of my water. Murdered. Sole Suspect. Yeah, that game really didn't live up to what people expected. Now, to be honest, I didn't expect anything from the game. I think that's a reason why a lot of people constantly don't like games is because they get disappointed because it didn't live up to expectations. I played it without expecting anything because I really hadn't heard anything about the game that much. A little bit, I guess. But it wasn't really a great game. I liked the story, and I liked the environment and the surroundings. I liked some of the dialogue, but the gameplay was meh. Okay, maybe it wasn't a bad game, but it was boring game. The action of the game was extremely repetitive. It's the same thing you did over and over again. The puzzles or riddles or mystery solving was easy as fuck. I mean, you basically couldn't go wrong. There was I don't know what the hell was with those. You had some badges when you a badge would be removed if you answered the wrong, but nothing happened. You could just keep guessing. So I don't really know. I think it's something to do with you'll get another ending or an achievement if you complete the game without with without using any bad you get wrong guesses and stuff like that, which is just plain stupid. But yeah, the game was so easy, repetitive gameplay. After a while, it just became boring, and and one of the things the game relied heavily on was collecting things. I mean, I could like collecting items, but mostly I'd like them to have a purpose in the game. In this, it just backstory, and it was interesting backstory, but after a while, running around looking for stuff constantly, going back places you've been hundreds of times, it just became extremely boring and repetitive. And I'd say that it's not a game that I would ever want to play again. I kind of wish I didn't play it all and had just chosen to watch a playthrough because the game was more a story than it was a game. But it was actually a great story, an interesting story. They should have made it into a movie instead. And that kind of weird. For those of you who played it or seen other playthroughs, probably remember at the very beginning there's this scene where you're trying to get back into your own body and you have to align yourself correctly. I thought that was going to be a game mechanic. You never did that again. What was the point? That seemed so. Oh, pressed the wrong button. That seemed so pointless. I don't know if it would have been a great game mechanic. I don't actually think it would be a great. It would have been a great game mechanic, but I really don't see the point in it at all. Then, if it wasn't going to be a part of the game, I don't know. But today's videos, you will be getting 3 Duke Nukem 3D videos. We're getting closer to the end, and then I'll of course be doing some mods and total conversions for Duke. Tuesday will continue to be Duke Nukem Day, so don't worry if you like Duke Nukem. Even though I will be finishing the playthrough, you'll be getting lots of Duke Nukem, some really cool total conversions, episodes, user levels, mods, partial conversions, maybe even just some retextures and stuff like that. So don't worry, plenty of more Duke to come. Like I said earlier in the video, I will soon have a new building to show off. Probably either tomorrow or Thursday. Not really sure. Maybe I should. I think actually I will wait until Thursday to show it off because Thursday you is like the only video you get on Thursdays is Minecraft, so maybe have something special to show off there. Also, that'll give me a few more days to complete the building, make sure it's good looking. looking great and stuff like that. I will try to get more built, but I am actually building, working on several projects. So probably during the next week or so, you will at least be getting 2 or 3 new builds. There's actually a comment today I got, which was weird coincidence. But yeah, he asked me if I didn't build, but I'd say I have already built. I mean, look at this town; it's been much improved, and you have the tower, the new church. We have my nether portal area back there. So I have built, but I'll admit I haven't really built that much, but it is planned that I am going to be building a lot more. I'm trying to close this door. Can I close this door? Yeah. Anyway, Duke Nukem a little bit later today, and I'll see you tomorrow for more gaming. Bye.